Dorothy's holding Toto, and she says, I miss Kansas, Toto. And then Toto says back to her, I miss the rains down in Africa.
Someone should mute their phone.
Good morning, all. We will convene this morning's Commerce Committee meeting as soon as we have our ranking senator with us. There we go. So item 1 is we have now convened. This item 2 is our first final action committee meeting, and thank you all who have helped to bring us to today's meeting. And as we prepare for our final 2 meetings, which will be next week, can't believe that we are looking at final action for this committee next week. And I also would like to take this moment to recognize and welcome a new member to the Commerce Committee, and that is Representative Annabelle Figueroa, who just joins us in representing a portion of the city of Stamford. So welcome to you, Annabelle. And we think you picked a good committee to be on. That's just a footnote and a bias. So remarks from my co-chairs, Representative Mesker.
I'll defer to my ranking member first, and then I'll follow up with a comment.
To
Senator Martin.
Thank you, but I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Sir.
And I'll say the same and bring it on to Cindy.
Representative.
I'm ready to go. No other comments. Thank you.
Thank you. And Representative Meskers. Okay, seeing no further comments, we will move on to item 3 before us, which is bills to be considered for final action. We have 6 today. And the first one is SB 948, an act adding a residential construction expert to the Governor's Workforce Council. This is a JFS to the floor. We are working with LCO 5759. I will entertain let me just give you a brief discussion and then we'll entertain a motion in a second and so forth. So this comes to us from a colleague in the Senate, Senator Martin, who actually serves on the Governor's Workforce Council, recognizing that we are down the road far enough with this process, that we should probably take a reset and look at its membership to make sure we're duly represented there. And so that's what our LCO is all about today. It essentially adds a couple of members. One, the residential construction expert, also someone from the newly formed and stood up VOTEC system, and to make sure we have balance on urban and rural. We also have included on this LCO a representative from the VOAG system. And with that, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Is there discussion?
Madam Chair, if I
Yes,
may,
yeah.
I'd entertain a motion to put this on a consent calendar.
Okay, we will open up a consent calendar. The first item being SB 948. We will move on to number 2 on our agenda, which is SB 1027. This is an act concerning the Department of Economic and Community Development recommendations regarding job CT tax rebate program and certain aerospace manufacturing projects. This is a straight JF to finance. This is a bill that comes to us from the department, and it is described in the commissioner's testimony as being technical. It addresses changes in the job CT program, which we just adopted in 22 to conform with DECD's practice on these programs. And then secondly, it addresses also legislation that we did in 22 to give the identified entity that is a aerospace manufacturer, we know who that is, an opportunity to fully utilize the benefits which we adopted in 22. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Senator Martin, and a second.
Second.
Yes, Representative Cheeseman, second. And discussion. Yes, Representative Vale.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So in section 2, I'll say it, Sikorsky, we gave them tax incentives last year. There was a bill that would do that, and this would extend those out from 8 years to 9 years. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And again, in 2016, this legislature also gave Sikorsky $220 million. So I voted against this bill last year. I'm not someone who believes in corporate welfare. I know other people could probably say it isn't, but in my mind, I still see it that way. So I'm certainly not going to vote to extend a bill to something I voted against last year. So I will be voting no on this bill. Thank you. And for those reasons.
Thank you, Representative Vale, and I do appreciate your consistency and your comments as well. I will note that the aerospace manufacturer we're talking about employs 8,000 Connecticut residents and has a supply chain in the state of Connecticut of approaching 250 suppliers. And there are never perfect worlds or perfect proposals, but this is one that I think is very important to the economics of the state of Connecticut, as we pretty resoundingly adopted this in 22. The testimony indicated that this was a change that would have been requested irregardless of what is going on right now with the current bids that are in the pipeline being appealed and the like, and also in anticipation of further contracts. It also keeps for a 20-year period till 2042, this entity headquartered in the state of Connecticut, and also keeps them accountable for their employment base, that it would not be diminished. Yes, Representative Miskers.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, I can respect the concerns about the tax credits, et cetera. Just to be clear to the general public and to the members of the committee, the request in principle is to extend an additional year It's the utilization of the tax credit. So it's not a creation of incremental tax credits. There is a lag time in the economic activity, the recognition, the accrual, and the benefit period. So we basically we're finding that the 8-year tax credits for the investment structure, it might take them 9 years to utilize those credits. So the intent is to provide an additional window, not an incremental amount, because a tax credit would expire useless. And that was not the intent of the original legislation. So at some point, there's an accounting cash flow analysis. So I would say that's the reason I think for me, it's acceptable.
And thank you, Representative Meskers. Representative McGordy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the state representative for Stratford and Shelton, I have 2 Sikorsky facilities in my district. I also have thousands of their employees in my district as well, and the suppliers and the food chain that follows supporting that company. I fully support this bill, and thank you for raising it.
And I should note that the representatives and the employees of Sikorsky are well represented here in the General Assembly, sir. Yes, further comments? Yes.
Yes,
Representative
Madam
Anderson.
Chair, I'd like to concur with the comments. The representative from Stafford, I voted against the original incentive plan. I saw it as unequal treatment. We should treat all our businesses the same. Also, the original bill seemed to disincentivize economizing. What if they could fulfill the contract through like robotics with less employees, and that would reduce their cost and free up employees that are needed in this state? So I have to oppose this measure. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, and I thank you, sir, for your comments. Further comments from committee members. Seeing none, I would ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Calling roll on Senate Bill 1027, an act concerning the Department of Economic and Community Development's recommendations regarding the Jobs CT tax rebate program and certain aerospace manufacturing projects. Senator Hartley,
Senator Hartley in the affirmative.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskers in the affirmative.
Senator Rahman,
Senator Rahman vote yes.
Representative Fazzino,
Representative Fazzino votes yes.
Senator Martin,
Senator Martin votes yes.
Representative Harrison,
Representative Harrison votes yes.
Representative Anderson,
I vote no.
Representative Aniskovich,
Yes.
Representative Borer,
Representative Bora votes yes.
Representative Cheeseman,
Representative Cheeseman votes yes.
Representative Curry, Representative Curry, Representative Figueroa,
At this time, I will be abstaining. Thank you.
Representative Garabay,
Garabay votes yes.
Representative G,
Representative G votes yes.
Senator Huckadell,
Senator Huckadell votes yes.
Representative Leeper, Representative Leeper, Representative McGordy,
Representative McGordy votes yes.
Senator Miller,
Senator Miller votes yes.
Senator Needleman, Senator Needleman, Representative Poulos,
Representative Poulos votes yes.
Representative Rochelle, Representative Rochelle, Senator Somers, Senator Summers, Representative Vale,
Rep. Vale votes no.
Representative Wood,
Rep. Wood votes yes.
Representative Curry, Representative Leeper, Representative Rochelle, Senator Summers.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The votes will remain open. People are running from committee to committee, so we'll certainly accommodate our colleagues. We are moving on now to item 3. This is Senate Bill 1042, an act authorizing the Department of Economic and Community Development to provide capacity building grants to Connecticut Brownfields land banks. This is a JFS to the floor. We are working with LCO 5402. Before we entertain motions, I will just summarize that we heard significant testimony from small towns, medium towns, mostly about the ability to try and either stand up land banks or to help scale them in an effort to revitalize our communities, large and small, and to try to give every opportunity to communities to try to get property back on the land, on the tax rolls, and supporting the economies of our towns, cities in the state of Connecticut. What this does is provide for grant, operational grant of no more than $50,000 to a certified Connecticut land bank. They must be able to have a 1-for-1 match, and it must be a regional entity. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you. And is there a second?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Senator Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I think I voiced my objection to this in screening, and primarily because of we have current land banks that have raised their own funds for operations, and this is what we're talking about regarding the capacity building grant is the operational side of this, and the concern is this is unlimited, so to speak. So first they apply for a grant or whoever it may be, and they are asking $50,000, and it looks like they can reapply for the following year for a grant and the following year after that. In addition to that, there are no limit to who can apply for this. Those that are certified. So if there's 3 or 6 or 10 different land banks, they can all apply for the $50,000. And my concern is that should we start doing this on a regular basis, or if this bill goes forward, they all can apply for it. And the $25 million that we already know that gets allocated for specifically for remediation, we're starting to eat into those funds. So that's for one reason that I'm objecting to this. And in addition, we had the commissioner of the DECD testify that the certification process requires these entities to be to prove how they are funding their operation side of this. So that's sort of conflicting. If they're going to be getting a grant from us for $50,000 for the operation, and then they are, the DECD requires them to prove through their own funding how are they going to operate. That's a conflict there. And the last thing I'll say is, currently out of the funding that we receive, or any land bank receives, they can use 5% of the funds for the remediation for administration purposes. So for those reasons, Madam Chair, I'll be opposing this.
And thank you, Senator Martin. And yes, indeed, we so appreciate all the work and the input on this, as well as other pieces of legislation. And therefore, we do see reflected in their concern, your input in terms of making sure it's regional, making sure there is a match. And the truth is that these entities go through a certification process. So therefore, we realize that they are financially stable and able to conduct the business and the mission at hand. What we heard primarily from, as we said, once again, the smaller communities, is that the smaller land banks are in need of trying to scale their operations so as to really have an impact in their community. This does not, so by virtue of the certification process, they demonstrate that they are viable entities, that they have raised money. We hold their feet to the fire by making sure they provide a one-to-one match. And yes, they can avail themselves, and appropriately so, to a primary tool that we have in the state of Connecticut, which is the Brownfields program, which truth be known, we can never reach as many communities as we want on that. And we do have some other proposals to address that as we go along. It's all about trying to move the needle in all of our communities. And once again, these are the smaller communities. There are, as we know right now, 3 certified land banks in the state of Connecticut, and 2 are in larger cities, already stood up and working. The 3rd is a smaller community. So further comments from committee members. Representative Cheeseman.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I want to echo Senator Martin's remarks. My big concern here is, one, the virtually unlimited nature of the number of new entities that could be created, regardless of the worthiness of their goals. Also, and the possible reduction in the amount of funds that DCD will have available for the actual work of remediation. And for those reasons, and the ones cited by my good ranking senator, I will be opposing this bill. I would welcome moves to encourage smaller land banks to work with their COGS and perhaps create one regional land bank. But I do think when we do this, we have to be cognizant of the limited funds we have available and the need to concentrate those funds where they are most able to be used immediately. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Yes, thank you for your comments, Representative Cheeseman. I will just remark again that with regard to unlimited entities, you have to be a certified Connecticut land bank. And there is a very defined certification process. Yes, Representative Meskers.
So as a representative from the proud county of Fairfield County, and I walk across the state and I listen to our DECD and the land banks, and the figures I were provided with was something on the order of, I believe $300 million gave us about $2 billion of private investment. So the comments and the observations about the adequacy of funding, sits with me dramatically in terms of where we are with brownfield remediation funds. But I think the standing we have currently are 2 land banks or 3 that are in operation. I need the rest of the state up and working and operating. So I like the idea of fostering and encouraging the formation of the land banks. And more importantly, at some point leading forward, I would give the committee notice. I want to look forward to where we're funding and the level of funding on brownfield remediation. The economic development of the state is crucial. So I'm supporting this because I think it raises the flag and moves the issue forward. This state needs to return to where it was 50 or 60 years in development and commercial activity. And I think this helps us move forward. That's why I'm in support.
Thank you, Representative Meskers. And, as we all recognize, legislation is an iterative process, and we really are blessed and better off by all of the input, all of the remarks that are made today. We will continue to work to bring forward the very best piece of legislation. So your remarks are very well taken and appreciated. Further comments? Seeing none, once again, recognize the fact that we will continue to work with all of the members with regard to their input on this proposal. Yes, Madam Clerk, could you call the roll?
Calling roll for SB number 1042, an act authorizing the Department of Economic and Community Development to provide capacity building grants to Connecticut brownfield land banks. Proposed action, JFS to floor, LCO 5402. Senator Hartley,
Senator Hartley in the affirmative.
Rep. Meskers,
In the affirmative, Rep. Meskers.
Senator Rahman,
Senator Rahman vote yes.
Rep. Fazino,
Rep. Fazino votes yes.
Senator Martin,
Senator Martin votes no.
Rep. Harrison,
Representative Harrison votes no.
Rep. Anderson,
No.
Rep. Anaskevich,
No.
Rep. Borer,
Rep. Borer votes yes.
Representative Cheeseman,
Representative Cheeseman votes no.
Rep. Curry, Representative Curry, Representative Figueroa,
Representative Figueroa vote yes.
Representative Garabay,
Garabay votes yes.
Rep. G,
Representative G votes yes.
Senator Hockenell,
Senator Harkadel votes yes.
Representative Leeper, Representative Leeper, Representative McGorty,
Representative McGorty, no.
Senator Miller, Senator Miller,
I'm here. I'm trying to turn my camera and video on. Senator Miller votes yes.
Senator Needleman, Senator Needleman, Representative Poulos,
Representative Poulos votes yes.
Representative Rochelle, Rep. Rochelle, Senator Summers, Senator Summers, Representative Vale,
No.
Representative Wood, Representative Wood, Representative Curry, Representative Leeper, Senator Needleman, Representative Rochelle, Senator Summers, Representative Wood. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Clerk. With that, we will move on to item 4. This is House Bill 6584, an act concerning research and development expenses tax credit for pass-through entities.
6585.
Oh, pardon me. What?
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Oh.
You're right.
Okay. Yes, it is item 6584. Item 4 on our agenda. This is a JFS to finance, and we are working with LCO 4875. So this received a lot of testimony from manufacturers, the business sector, and primarily those mid-sized to small entities who, quite frankly, compete against a lot of forces, some of which are the larger, the big folks in the state, who can right now, that is the large companies, the C Corps, avail themselves to the tax credit for R&D. It is the pass-through entities who cannot. And it is that population of employers and manufacturers who struggle to invest in R&D, invest in their employees, and need to do this exponentially so in this particular economy where we are engaging in I 4.0, the fourth industrial revolution, in order for them to keep their competitive edge and continue to distinguish the state of Connecticut as a destination for manufacturing. And so this is an investment in their people and in these entities. And so with that, I would entertain a motion. Thank you. Moved, and is there a second?
Second.
Having been seconded, duly seconded. Thank you. Discussion. Is there discussion?
Madam Chair, without opposition, I
Yes.
request we put it on a consent calendar.
Yeah, so we will be adding item number 4, House Bill 6584 to our consent calendar this morning. Thank you, Representative Harrison. We will move on to item 5, which is House Bill 6585, an act concerning a study to promote workforce development using the Global Entrepreneur in Resident Program as a model. This is a straight JF to the floor. And if I might just explain briefly, this came to us from the Business Association. It is really all about workforce demands and shortages, in particularly in the technology areas and STEM. It asks to put together a study to take a look at a model that happens to exist now and has benefited the state of Massachusetts exponentially in terms of creating and spurring their business startups and also addressing the talent demands of high technology. So with that, I will entertain. We have a motion, do we? Did I move it? No. Yeah, we have. So I will entertain a motion on 6585. Thank you, Senator Martin. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Duly seconded. I appreciate that. And discussion.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Representative.
I think
Harrison.
without opposition, we request you can put that on the consent calendar.
Yes, so ordered. 6585 will be moved to the consent calendar. That brings us to item number 6, which is House Bill 6692. This is an act concerning certain arts, culture, and tourism grants. This is a JFS to finance. We are working off of LCO 5399. Lots of testimony on this, folks. And that demonstrates obviously the interest, the support, and also the need. It was a few years ago that this committee moved to include arts and culture under the rubric of tourism because they previously were not articulated there. The Arts Alliance has gone off and done yeoman's work to basically come together in a collaborative fashion, as opposed to being siloed, working off on one-offs, to leverage, quite frankly, their operations and also their position in the state's economy, which we recognize as being so vital, in particularly after these last 2 years of COVID. But for the tourism trade, there was so many other things that were kind of flatlined. But with that, I'm going to entertain a motion. Thank you, Senator Martin. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Representative Poulos. And for discussion, I'm going to have one of the biggest cheerleaders of this proposal lead any other discussion. Representative Musgrave.
So in the course of the testimony, and, you know, I haven't even thanked Senator Sommer, who was dealing on another issue, in the commentary that came forth, multi-hundred millions of dollars are being spent in New York on tourism. In the city, at least 30 to 60 million dollars. In the state, I want to say 200 to 300 million. I think Massachusetts dwarfs our expenditure. I mean, Rhode Island by twice. I shudder to think what Massachusetts does. So on an economic driver, the tourism industry, the restaurant industry, the hotel industry, all of the components here serve a vital purpose for economic development for the state. They also serve a vital purpose in moving the state forward in culture and history, remembering who we are, who we want to be, where we're going. So a dedication and focus on that, I think, is so crucial. It's not within our purview, to my mind, to designate with the support of the entire group the allocation. I think we've worked on that. I think what we did do is look at the potential and recommend that 0.25% of the revenue from the restaurant sales tax, which is 1% on top on the meals tax, be dedicated as part of the resource funding. And I like that structurally. I think that was part of our conversation because that is a piece. And that was Senator Martin's suggestion. So I do want to give due credit there. And that I love as a banker. We're talking about a piece of revenue stream that's going to go up with the price of restaurant meals and food service. So it provides a funding source that will grow over time that doesn't have to come back for further allocations onto that piece of it. And it grows with the growth in the economy, and it's kind of self-reinforces. So I thought it was a very good structural issue. I think the attention that we're bringing in commerce to this portion of the economy of the state is crucial. So I'm glad to see where we are. I think we've reached a happy medium among the groups. And I want to thank everyone for their contributions, except for Representative Parker, who got us into a 10-hour meeting. And he, at some point, I will thank him for that in person. But I do want to thank everyone.
I'm still looking for him. Yes, Senator Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In reviewing the LCO here at 5399, I wasn't able to find any language in here. I know that the additional funds at 25% of, I think it's $90 million, right? And that we would have an additional $22 million for the tourism, culture, and arts grant program. We're establishing a fund for that specifically, but I want to just talk about the 13 million that's currently in a line item in the appropriations, knowing that a good portion of that 13 million goes to specific entities. And I'm just going to call them larger entities for sake of simplicity here. Is there a way that we can make sure that the smaller entities receive a good portion of this 25% of the 20 million? Because what I would hate to see is that the way the current appropriations is, it's the larger entities that get the bulk of the funding of the 13 million, and the rest of the state, so to speak, receives a smaller portion. I'd just like to make sure that, you know, the intent here is to make sure the entire state grows, and each of the communities that have the cultures or the arts receive some additional money. But I'd like to make sure that we address them and not necessarily the larger entities. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Martin, for those comments, those well-founded comments. Yeah, you are absolutely right. We did talk about this in screening, and we kind of floated a few ideas, and truth be known, never crystallized those. And, you know, as we said before, major pieces of legislation are iterative, and we need to continue to refine them as we move forward. This certainly being one of them. And that's an important piece that we ought to look at, because, you know, as our testimony indicated to us, and, you know, all of the members of this committee have pointed out so clearly, there are many entities who, quite frankly, don't even know about the ability to get this kind of support, you know, let alone go after it. and so, and they're so important in their communities. They're really the boots on the ground. And I know in my own local area, and Representative Harrison and I have talked about this, there are significant others. And so, yes, the goal is to try to, one, introduce metrics and accountability so that, we recognize where we're investing taxpayer dollars. And then secondly, to reach that whole population that are part of this economy that have really not, been represented heretofore. So this is definitely a work in progress, and I expect you to be front and center at the table too, Senator Martin. Thank you. And Representative Meskers.
Yeah, I was very appreciative of the commentary on metrics, but what resounds with me in some of the testimony is that part of the goal in this is diversity and equity and inclusion. And by that, I mean not a social platform per se, but the fact that we have organizations that are at a fundamental initiation stage in culture, in arts, and outreach in our smaller communities and our larger communities. So as we build out the metrics, if you think about, and I think I used the idea of a ballet school in a disadvantaged community. If you set up a metric and hire an art or a dance instructor, or you're building out a cultural organization, the process has to be with, which I liked with the funding here, is that you build out a funding base and you set the metrics as per within a certain time frame. You have measurable metrics that the organization has a chance to build and grow. Because to Senator Martin's point, you can build the metrics on an organization that's asking for incremental funding that's substantial, and he can throw out the reports every year. And if you're trying to support smaller organizations, either building the metrics or new organizations, you have to figure out that timeline. So I think when we talk about the outreach and that, you have my commitment as well. I think we need to, I think that metric is going to be so important to make sure that we're reaching the broadest base of people and helping and moving the needle forward on that. So you have my commitment as well.
Thank you, Representative Meskers. Yes, Representative Boer.
Thank you. And I apologize, I don't have the JFS in front of me. So the funding responsibility is shifting to the restaurant tax for the meals, an increase? I'm confused, sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Representative Boyer. I also want to recognize, the input, from the committee in terms of putting forward a very solid proposal with a funding, a reasonable and appropriate funding stream. And so, yes, this is to be 25% of the 1% tax, sales tax on meals. This also dovetails, quite frankly, with the proposal that is being floated around this building, and primarily, I think, in the Finance Committee from the Hospitality, the Restaurant Association. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for that. So the consumer that goes to the restaurant won't be paying more. We're just shifting. I just want to clarify for those listening, because we're saying sales tax on meals. So the consumer is not going to be paying any more at the restaurant. We're just shifting the breakdown of what already exists.
Yes, precisely. There are no new revenue streams. It is identifying an appropriate revenue stream, quite frankly, which really should be intercepted for this industry. So there's no change as far as that goes. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, I just wanted, because I had seen it on the news the other day, and I want to make sure the reaction is appropriate to what we're passing. And just want to comment, I know I said this in the public hearing, but about a year ago, we had that Arts, Culture, and Tourism Forum at the Science Center, and we had over 100 legislators and stakeholders. The governor was there, and it was a brainstorming session with a facilitator, and the number one issue was a steady funding stream, because we can't expect these organizations to continue to plan. We ask folks to have a strategy, right? 3-year strategy, 5-year strategy. You can't put that together when you don't know what your funding is going to be. And the additional funding that we provided in recent years was not just federal related to COVID. We decided to put more funds into arts, culture, and tourism because we know what an economic driver it is. So I'm supporting this concept, but I would have liked to have seen us put more from our budget into this arena. Thank you.
We hear you, Representative Boyer, and believe me, any opportunity we will be recognizing. Thank you. Further comments, Representative Cheeseman.
Thank you very
Park.
much, Madam Chair. And I want to thank everyone for their comments and their work on this. And again, I'm sounding bit too much like Senator Martin. We obviously spend far too much time together now. My concern is his. I want to make sure our smaller entities, one, not only are adequately represented, and I know this is coming to finance, so perhaps we look at a certain percentage of this being dedicated to institutions with, revenue or operating budgets under a certain amount or employing certain numbers of people. But also, and this is as much to our friends at DCD as we go forward, I would love to see more ability of DCD to actually do some preliminary handholding for these organizations for whom applying for grants and jumping through these hoops, whether it's the actual grant process or the reporting afterwards, it can be intimidating. And I speak as someone who prior to joining the Children's Museum had never written a grant before in my life. So I think, again, a recognition that the smaller organizations do need this support, and also as they move forward, what can we do to not only alert them to these funding possibilities, but also help them as they navigate the process. But I think this is a wonderful start. I think it's important, as Representative Bora pointed out, to assure people this is not us taking more money out of your pocket. This is taking money that's already there and applying it in areas we think is really going to pay dividends, not only for the organizations, but for everyone in Connecticut and for everyone who wants to come to Connecticut. So I want to thank you, Madam Chair, and thank the committee for moving this forward.
Thank you, Representative Cheeseman. Representative Anderson. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a few concerns about this bill. I know it's going to finance, not the floor. The state has great cultural resources, which I really enjoy taking part of with my family. I just have concerns about the ability of the state to utilize funds to promote tourism. It's not if we're spending how much we're spending compared to other states. It's a cost benefit analysis. I've read 3 studies that showed of other states that shows they always got less back than they put in to the promotion of tourism in spending on restaurants, hotels, et cetera. With all the testimony in favor of this bill, there was some against, at least one against. It was very strong opposition in our history of smart spending in tourism and the lack of a good plan going in the future. Now, this bill calls for allocating 25% of the 1% meals tax. Well, I've supported repeal of that meals tax, so it's hard for me to support allocating like this when it should go. But as far as state grants, I've heard the phrase in different committees, it's public money and this is how we should spend it. No, it's taxpayers' money. I know that we'd get a better return if the entities who are being promoted had more skin in the game, that they contributed to a private company. But I see this kind of like picking winners and losers in the corporate world. It's not something we should do. Now, I received a list of entities in my district that received grants, and 2 separate entities received grants 2 years in a row. And I felt bad about opposing this bill. And then I thought about it. The amount of grant they received each year was less than the amount that one household paid in state taxes. So there's not much coming back to my district. I do like the increased emphasis on metrics in this bill, but ultimately we need to spend and tax less and leave people more disposable income and let them spend their own money on arts and tourism that they enjoy. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you much, Representative Anderson, and we're hoping to reach more of those small entities, hopefully in your district and others. Yes, Representative Vale.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I hadn't planned to speak, but is there, for some reason, I know if they repealed the tax, how would we fund this? Is there a second Representative Anderson mentioned he supports repealing the food tax, which I certainly would too, but and that might not be likely, but if that something like that were to happen, what would that then happen to the funding source?
We'd go back to the drawing board. Thank you, Representative Vale. Further input, colleagues, committee members. I don't see anybody out also online. So with that, I'm going to ask the administrator to please call, the clerk to please call the roll.
Calling roll on House Bill number 6692, an act authorizing certain arts, culture, and tourism grants. JFS to finance, LCO 5399. Senator Hartley.
Hartley in the affirmative.
Rep. Meskers,
Rep. Meskers in the affirmative.
Senator Rahman. Senator Rahman,
Senator Rahman vote yes.
Representative Fazino,
Fazino votes yes.
Senator Martin,
Yes.
Representative Harrison,
Yes.
Representative Anderson,
No.
Representative Anaskovic,
Yes.
Representative Borer,
Representative Bora votes yes.
Representative Cheeseman,
Representative Cheeseman votes yes.
Representative Curry. Representative Curry, excuse me. Representative Figueroa,
Representative Figueroa votes yes.
Representative Garabay,
Garabay votes yes.
Representative G,
Representative G votes yes.
Senator Huckadell,
Senator Hockadell votes yes.
Representative Leeper. Representative Leeper. Representative McGorty,
Representative Gordy, yes.
Senator Miller. Senator Miller. Senator Needleman. Senator Needleman. Representative Poulos.
Representative Poulos votes yes.
Representative Rochelle. Representative Rochelle. Senator Summers. Senator Summers. Representative Vale.
Yes.
Representative Wood.
Rep Wood votes yes.
Representative Curry. Representative Leeper. Senator Miller. Senator Needleman. Rep Rochelle. Senator Summers.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So,
Excuse me.
yes.
Sorry, did I miss the vote?
No.
Okay, good. Sorry, because I have the 3 computer running.
So far, so good.
Doing it all. Thank you, Senator Rahman. Okay, so that is today's agenda. Our next meeting will be.
Madam Chair.
Oh, yes.
We need a roll call on there.
Oh, yes, indeed. How can I forget our consent calendar? And so the clerk will please call the consent calendar, just if you would call the bills that we put on the consent calendar and then the roll call. And we just lost a couple of members, huh? We lost Representative Gordy. Well, we'll get them. Okay, go ahead.
Calling roll to move to consent. House Bill 948. Sorry, Senate Bill 948. House Bill 6584. And House Bill 6585. Senator Hartley.
Yes, Senator Hartley in the affirmative.
Representative Meskers.
Representative Meskers in the affirmative.
Senator Rahman.
Senator Rahman vote yes.
Representative Fazino.
Fazino votes yes.
Senator Martin.
Yes.
Representative Harrison,
Yes.
Representative Anderson,
Yes.
Representative Anaskevich,
Yes.
Representative Borer,
Representative Boer is a yes.
Representative Cheeseman,
Representative Cheeseman votes yes.
Representative Curry, Rep. Curry, Representative Figueroa,
Yes. Thank you.
Representative Garabay,
Garabay votes yes.
Representative G,
G votes yes.
Senator Hockenell,
Senator Hockenell votes yes.
Representative Leeper, Representative Leeper, Representative McGorty,
Representative McGorty, yes.
Senator Miller, Senator Miller, Senator Needleman, Senator Needleman, Representative Poulos,
Rep. Poulos votes yes.
Representative Rochelle, Representative Rochelle, Senator Summers, Senator Summers, Representative Vale,
Yes.
Representative Wood, Representative Wood, Representative Curry, Representative Leeper, Senator Miller, Senator Needleman, Representative Rochelle, Senator Summers, Representative Wood. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And so that's why you always have your lawyer in the wings. Thank you, Mr. LCO, right on your toes there. Okay, so with that, we have finished today's work. We will be meeting on Tuesday and Thursday next week. And so, notice an agenda to follow. And the votes will stay open until 3 o'clock for our colleagues who are in other meetings. And have a great day, everyone. Thank you all. We are in recess. So I just want to make sure. So, really, all that's left is a hand for the-
Hey, Patricia, did you get all my votes?
Hi,
Hi, Representative Curry.
how are you?
I'm good. Are you here to say hi or are you gonna vote?
I'm here to vote.
Awesome. All right, so.
So I have the agenda in front of me.
Good. So we moved 3 to consent calendar.
Okay, which one?
948,
Yep,
6584,
yep,
and 6585.
okay.
Okay, Representative Curry, how about you?
Representative Curry votes yes.
Okay. Bill number 948 was a consent, hold on, consent for some time. Okay. House Bill number 6692, an act authorizing certain arts, culture, and tourism grants. JFF to finance, LCO 5399. How about you, Rep Curry?
Sorry, 1 second.
Okay,
What was the LCO on that?
LCO 5399.
What? All right, Representative Curry votes yes.
Okay. Senate Bill number 1042 on the agenda. It is line item 3.
Yep.
An act authorizing the Department of Economic and Community Development to provide capacity building grants to Connecticut Brownfield Land Banks. Rep Curry, how about you?
Representative Curry votes yes.
And this was the last vote for today. It is Senate Bill number 1027, line item 2 on the agenda, JF to finance.
Representative Curry votes yes.
Let me just make sure I have you on all 4 sheets. Curry check. Curry check. Curry check. Curry check. You're good to go. Thank you so much for checking in. Have a great day.
Have an easy day.
You too. Thanks. Hello. Representative Rochelle, we took 4 votes. I'm sorry? We took 4 votes. Okay. So we'll start with the consent calendar. Consent calendar consisted of, do you have the agenda?
Give me 1 second. I can pull it up. I just got back to my office.
No worries. I can read it to you too if you want.
I'll make it easier for you. I'll just pull it up 1 second.
Several contracts with the state. Every offer that comes on now, there's, when they retire, their pension, whether it's at poverty level, or just above or just below, they're gonna have to pay the active members. Well, they're make, right?
Okay, go ahead. Which bill numbers?
Okay, we have line item 1, bill number 948. And item 4. House Bill 584, LCO 4875. And line item 5, 6585, JF to 4.
Yes.
I think, thank you, guys, and listen.
And that's all the way down the line and all of it.
Okay, do you want me to read any of them out? You're good?
No, everything on the agenda, I'm a yes on.
Okay.
I'd like to thank all of you for being here today. Thank you.
Seeing that Rick Rochelle, yes.
And especially.
Perfect. You are all voted up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Hello.
Hello. You were there for any of the votes? I know you were there. Hold on.
Yeah, I missed, hold on.
Okay, so you missed the consent calendar?
Right, so, I was there for the first one. So is the, everything else went on consent?
I got you. So, House Bill number 6692 on the agenda, it is item 6,
Right,
LCO 5399. Senator Miller, how vote you?
yes.
Okay, and the consent calendar. Line item 1, Senate Bill number 948.
Mm-hmm.
Line item 4, 584. And line item 5, House Bill 6585. Senator Miller.
Vote yes.
Okay. That's you
What
all.
about 2 and 3?
So you were there for vote.
I just want to make sure.
Okay. So you were there for line SB 1027.
You're right.
You voted yay. That's JF to finance. That's an
Mhm.
act concerning the Department of Economic and Community Development.
Mm-hmm.
You also voted for
3.
1042. Yep, line item 3.
Okay.
We have you here as yay.
All right, great. I just want to make sure. I knew I
Perfect.
did, but I just, because I forgot to check them off. I normally check them as I vote.
Yep,
All right,
you
thank you, Patricia.
are
Have a nice
voted.
day.
You are voted on all 4 votes. Thanks so
Great.
much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Hello, Senator Hart. Sorry, I was just
Hi.
Hi. So
Hi.
we took 4 votes today. I'll start with the ones on the consent calendar. Do you have an agenda in front of you that you can?
I do. Yep.
Okay. So consent calendar, line item 1, 4, and 5.
Okay.
That was 948, 65, and 6585.
Yep. I would be a yes on that.
Okay. And there were 3 other votes. We'll start with line item 2, Senate Bill number 1027, proposed action JF to finance.
Let me just check that one. I wanted to make sure I had notes on 1 second, please. Sorry.
No worries.
Yes, I'm a yes on that one.
That is Job CT Tax Rebate Program 1027, Senator Summers. Yes. Okay, Senate Bill 1042, Brownfields JFS to floor, LCO 5402.
That one I'm a no on.
House Bill number 6692, JFS to finance, LCO 5399.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay, I have Senator Summers on all 4 votes.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Bye-bye.
Bye.